Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here again at SUI. This recovery is looking pretty nice here. We can see a pretty solid little support range at 450 to 465. We talked about that yesterday being kind of a secondary support if we lost this liquidation range here or after this was swept, which it was pretty quickly. And we can see a pretty strong bit of relief here for SUI. And again, that is hinged on the simple fact that Bitcoin is kind of bottoming out to tentatively after sweeping its lower liquidation at about 93,000. If you haven't already seen it though, just keep in mind Bitcoin does have some liquidation left remaining. Apologize here, where is it at? So Bitcoin right there. We can see about 90 to 91.5K as the next potential area. Okay, but the short-term liquidation levels have been swept, which basically implies that we should see relief rally here to this 95K range, and that's pretty much already happening. Now we got a tentative rejection here off 95,000 already. The reason why this is all relevant is because SUI is following suit to an extent, albeit responding a lot better. We can see this in the most recent these local highs here have been broken where very few coins have established higher highs so far. So it's a very good testament to SUI's strength. As per usual, it's always going to be one of the first coins, kind of the catalyst when there's any type of reversal occurring. That doesn't mean all altcoins are going to follow suit. It just implies that for the most part, if SUI takes off, generally we're going to see some altcoins start to recover too as well. Or for the most part, it just kind of helps us understand, it's like the front runner, if you will. Okay, so again, good stuff there. And again, thanks again for always hitting the like button, commenting below too. To those of you who do that, deeply appreciate it. Gets us in front of more people and hopefully get less people destroyed by the market, because these market makers are very vicious lately. They've been overextending the heck out of the coins and just really destroying the market. I mean, Bitcoin pulled back by 2.5% today, and most altcoins were down like 15, almost 20% in some cases. SUI, not one of those, but still subject to that sell-off, right? Having said that, let's just be mindful here that there's still a lot of liquidation left. $3.90 to $4 is that heavy concentration, and roughly $4.15 to $4.25 as a secondary. That's a little closer, so potentially more realistic. Either way, from a macro perspective, we're kind of in the middle of this large range, so that's not really super relevant. We can see there's more people shorting than taking longs at this point. Exactly why the price is recovering like it is right now too, of course, because we have that overextension, that natural capitulation. When a bottom occurs, you will see the price try to run towards local resistance. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. In fact, we're going to do things a little different today, mainly just focus on liquidation and key level supports and resistances, because there's not like a lot in the charts telling us that we're going to see like a turnaround from a lot of coins. SUI may be a little different, but for the most part, I think key level supports and resistances are important to recognize. And we look here, we can kind of see this $5 is that more immediate resistance. Secondary to that, roughly 510. We talked about that previously. And of course, these late longs at 527, which I emphasized multiple times, not to be a late long when you keep double, triple topping. And we had a rising wedge pattern as well. So not the most ideal conditions. Again, hindsight's totally 2020. It's not like I'm precise every single time, but generally there's some writings on the wall to give us indications the price is going to pull back. In this case, is there indications that the price is going to continue higher? That's kind of the general consensus. So let's talk about that and just see where we're at. So first of all, let's double check a few key factors here. First, on the macro, we see this local high roughly at about 470. We can presume that's going to be a resistance for us, okay? Because it was a local high. We had multiple occurrences roughly 3 times before the price could break through it. But prior to that, roughly 480 is a rough estimate. We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and if you count the more local there, roughly about 10 attempts to break through that 475, 480 mark. So it'd be safe to presume that this area here, the 470 to 480 range, is a resistance range, okay? So I'm just going to mark that in red so we can kind of see it a little easier, and just know that that's, until we get through that, we don't have, there's not really a lot of reasons to take a long position just based on the simple fact that that's a tough area to get through now that we're back down below it, okay? So there's that. We are over 50 on the RSI here. This is one of the few coins that is actually still looking bullish on the macro. So don't be offended by me saying that we have a resistance above us and we may not break through that right away. That's perfectly normal. Those are very standard trading things. But what isn't normal here, amongst other coins, is the bullish type of scenario that we're in. And again, I say bullish because we're above the moving averages and the RSI at 50. Those are two important indicators to me that carry a little bit more weight than we might have for a divergence on the MACD or a stochastic swing to the downside. While those two things are still present, we still have a lot of reasons why we should be able to maintain the range of $4.50 to $5 is just kind of a really easy round number to remember. Okay. Having said that, we're under, again, two important moving averages for me, the 20 and the 50 here on the 4-hour, kind of implying that we are bearishly diverging, and we don't want to jump into a long position just yet until those levels are broken. Again, a close above 480, I'd feel a lot more comfortable taking a long than I would right now into that key level resistance that is proven multiple times, 10 days almost in a row in the past previous couple of weeks, that's going to be a resistance for us, right? While we did break through there at one point, what's to say we're going to do that again? Okay, we need to have a lot of volume, and technically we have a lot of volume, but this is a lot of selling volume too. Okay, so that just kind of implies that $5 to $5.50 range there's a lot of resistance and a lot of folks trying to sell at that level, which makes sense. It's profitable. It's what market makers do. They're not people like you and I. People like you and I would buy now and sell years from now when the price is really high. But market makers don't do that. They're the ones really causing that. But what also causes market makers to sell, by the way, is high leverage, right? So don't be a high leverage idiot that causes these things to occur here. This is nonsense. This should never happen. Again, if everyone traded with spot, that wouldn't even be a thing. But once more, people got to gamble, right? Having said all that, doing what I recommend in most cases, not that it's perfect by any stretch, it just increases your odds of success, and you're not really gambling as much. You are more so using proper risk management and effectively trading with a little more precision. I wouldn't say it's precise by any stretch, but it is definitely a little bit better of a success rate, right? So having said that, we take a look here. This is kind of a perfect point, and again, hindsight's 20/20. But when you see RSI at 30 and money flow index at 20, it's like a perfect case scenario for a buy position. And again, it's mainly just in the 4-hour time frame. It's mainly an overextension play, which is generally considered to be high risk. Please understand that. But when you see RSI at 30 and money flow index lower, it implies that there's too much money flowing away from this coin, and people see it's a good value. So what are they going to do? They're going to buy. So when you see that, usually a recipe for the price action increasing from there. Now, is that going to increase and blast through the resistance? Perhaps, but probably not. Generally speaking, we got to presume this resistance range will work as such until it's broken. That's exactly why you don't take a long into resistance. You take a long once that resistance level has been broken, right? That's the consideration. You want to see a bullish backtest too, first of all, though. So folks just say we come up here and we do one of these. You don't just take a long here. You want to wait for the price action to bullishly backtest that range and then continue higher. That's usually best practice there. Because again, you'll get a better entry, and B, you're going to make sure to confirm that that level has been broken and that the bulls have effectively taken control. Ichimoku Cloud, nothing here to see that's bullish whatsoever. So there's a macro perspective here that looks good. The smaller time frames, while albeit I like the higher lows here, is a good start. We're still not out of this resistance range, so to speak. So I don't personally feel like we're going to see the price take off from here. In fact, my previous anticipation from yesterday is probably fairly accurate. I think the price action could very well come up to this $4.90 to $5 range, reject and come out. Or if we break above, we want to make sure it retests that level first and goes higher, right? So generally speaking, I think at the very least, to consider a long position, we should see that this 480 level broken. Keep in mind, if and when you do that, you wait for confirmation, you can miss a lot of opportunities. And this coin does move very fast. So again, I would say that my trading strategy doesn't work for everybody. People that have this FOMO about them, or this I missed out on opportunities, they're probably not going to work well with my trading style, because I like to trade with confirmation. While it's never perfect, the odds of success are higher, and at this point we don't have confirming factors just yet. I do personally feel like we're still going to see Bitcoin pull back soon. And just say hypothetically Bitcoin runs to 95.5 and then SUI comes up here to 480, 490. What do you think SUI is going to do if Bitcoin dumps to 90,000 and sweeps all this liquidation here to the downside? I personally feel we're probably going to see a 450 to low $4 range potentially for SUI. And if you look here, what do you know? 380, 390, upwards of $4. There's a pretty big chunk there. And of course, same thing with the 420 range. So just know that that's a potential reality for you. I do not recommend shorting SUI ever. I highly recommend considering limit orders at those positions if in fact the price ever comes down that low. All right, folks, that's all we got for now. I'll post a playout chart in our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. I hope you had a good learning experience here. I look forward to working with you the way you look at it. If you are part of our community, please make sure you read through my trade alerts. These are here for your education, so you know kind of what I'm planning to trade. While some of those trades recently didn't work out, you understand the reason and the mentality behind them, okay? Furthermore, too, also make sure you read through our signals guide. If you're taking my trades, you need to understand that there's a certain type of risk that I take on myself that may not work for you, and you need to adjust that accordingly. All right, thanks again. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good rest of your day. Take care.